Welcome to the Will Studios. Wait a minute. Couldn't even hear it. Hold on. I'll figure out this will be real smooth eventually. Here, let's set this. Download some sweet trailer music. Welcome to the Will Studios. I'm Will. I got a new mic. So you won't get to watch me scream obscenities into the ether anymore. I got a cool little soundboard. Awesome! So I joined the How to Draw Comics Academy. Joined the How to Draw Comics Academy lately. That's what's new with me. I'll turn this down. Learning how to multitask with the Streamlabs here. God damn. There needs to be a way because I can turn it down on my thing so that you don't hear it too loudly, and then I'm just getting blasted like freaking killing my eardrums here. Grok, what am I doing wrong? Anyway, How to Draw Comics Academy, good old Clay Barton is helping me out here. They just lowered the price to $9 a month. I'm paying, I think I signed up for $24 a month. Should I quit and sign back up? Might actually be smart to do that. Anyway, so we're looking over page 5 here. And I skipped the part where he was, wait, where are we? There we go. Let's get to me. So, he pointed out that it was not apparent to the reader exactly like what was going on, the headset, technology, whatever. That was the previous page. He doesn't read the chat as he's talking. I wonder if he only has one screen. Because he'll go through the whole thing, and I'm like trying to respond to him, like, no, that was a previous page. It was, you know, blah, 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 blah. And he doesn't read it till afterwards, and so it's just like a garbled bit of messaging. But anyway, I need to make things more animated. Alright? He's doing his little bit on the left over here. Let's pause that. Oh yeah, that's right. I gotta freaking post the link. I gotta post the link so people actually know what I'm doing, don't I? There's gotta be an easier way than doing this. I'm gonna feel so dumb when someone shows it to me and they're like, dude, you can just like push a button, it'll... And now I'll send that to Facebook. Hell, maybe... Am I logged in to Facebook here? I don't want to do that on screen. We still have 0 viewers, so I'm comfortable not doing anything right now. Release. Freaking. Whatever. Whatever. Only Twitter gets to know that I'm... Jesus. What's that gonna do? We'll see. Anywho, feedback session.
Have some curtains. You know, always be thinking about little nuanced and interesting elements that you can add in to your scenes. And then
So,
the shelves
key takeaways from the first part is that you need to be more animated. He looks a bit wooden in the first panel. Maybe have more like varieties of the angle. I was trying to think about it like to make it just as easy as like this is most people are just reading the dialogue, right? Cuz she's bugging him. I had only asked for some critique on her outfit cuz I feel like it looks a bit too cosplay-y. And I just kind of wanted another perspective, like, hey, this is a Cortana thing, like, you know, I'm just, you know. But sorry, I get distracted. I had an edible. But anyway, you know, I appreciate this feedback too, because there's there's things that maybe I didn't ask for it, but it needs to be said. You know what I mean? Like we need to be more animated. We need to be more engaging with the audience. You know, it helps. So he's like, instead of him having just poured his cereal and sitting like this, how about he's eating his cereal and she like interrupts him. I'm gonna post a couple of... You know what? I'll post the pages before this where it introduces the headset projecting all of this and him scrolling over, you know what I mean? And we'll see what he thinks about the action there, if it's if he thinks any of that needs to be changed. Let's put my keyboard over here. Let's freaking get this started. So this is what, come on. So this is what I was last working on. I wanted to give her more of a tech vibe, you know, and maybe I'll make her like blue skinned. Mute Clayton for now. And I'm just looking at, okay, what shapes do I want? To see. I was gonna stream yesterday, but I ended up staying late at work, and by the time I got home, I was just tired, man. And I didn't really feel like I wanted to, you know, stream at people. I have this kind of laid out here. Let's go to the... So, a couple minutes later, he's going over like how he would block out the scene with her giving him the business about, hey, you are falling behind on your studies. You have to achieve this many credits to continue staying in the program that you're in. So get out of the house and go to a class. And that gets Hayden out of the house so that he can become part of the plot. And now he gets to the bones of what I really, was driving me crazy. Is the character design. Now he has a different style than me, a different approach to his artwork, because you can see he kind of lays out the rib cage and the hips, and he goes for dynamic poses. And that's something I've kind of learned, just the attitude that people have towards comic books, where they want to live in a universe. Like when they read an American comic book, everything's like dialed up. You know what I mean? People are like standing, like this. And maybe I need to incorporate a little bit more of that. I think that there's moments in the story where that'll be happening for sure. But I was trying to think about just generally people are rather depressed in the future. So they're not full of life. You know what I mean? But so like the first page that I had gotten some feedback on, where are we at? Dun, 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 dun. So this was the first page. Where are we at? This is the first page that I had wanted feedback on, and specifically the third panel, because I wanted the space to look bigger, and I think I've achieved that for the most part here. I'm still working on it. I kind of have it laid out, and I'm working on the shadows are going to be important here. Because I want the lightning coming off of him to be like the only real light in the room. And we're underground, so there shouldn't be like a ton of bounce lighting, ambient lighting. The bounce lighting would come from the sparks all around him, basically, so I should kind of illuminate the room. I'm still wrapping my head around that. But I like my progress so far on that. Where is the old panel? Yeah, that was the old stance, right? And yeah, his head was a little bit too big, but he was standing in a way, because he's kind of sad in this scene. But anyway, I digress. I brought him... I zoomed from page 1 and 2 to page 5 for the next critique, and I just chose it because it featured the character whose costume I wanted to redesign. He's drawing his boobies much smaller. Maybe not smaller boobies, but in proportion. You know what I mean? Like, ladies, ratio. And he's making her real strong, too. You can tell he's used to drawing, like, super powered beings. You know what I mean? Like, this is an AI assistant who will lack muscle tone. That's just not her character. But I really like... Let's see, how... Can I just fast forward a little tiny bit? He's sort of exploring the shapes around her body. I really like what he did there on her thigh. Oh, come on. I need to get better at using everything.
like so, into the lower leg. Just outline this calf area for a moment. So you could have it run down like so, and then, how about this? We add in those cool little dots you had going on in that other section of her body. Okay. Now that I've done that, I really like what's going on with the legs. I think that that's working very well.
Man, I want to like clip it.
So we can keep this shape going on. And
so he understood the assignment, which is, you know,
yeah, let's bring that down there like so.
Struggling on some design elements. I like what he did there because he's like, he's tracing that inner musculature of the thigh, you know, and bringing it up.
This is kind of the design process I go through. I actually
and then he
would
comes
probably spend a fair
around
bit of time on this.
and drops it down the knee, right?
So what we're going to do
So she's got that like panel.
Let's try this out.
His leg, does she not have quads? Come on, man. Give her some quads
Nice,
at least.
curvaceous, sleek look around.
It's funny, I was just
So
talking about muscle tone.
that might be a little bit too 80s if we do that. I'm actually thinking we'd take that costume all the way up around her neck, maybe. So I'll end up around there somewhere. And then potentially we might, in fact, have it run around there like that.
Shapes.
And then we'll bring it down. As opposed to it coming up between the breasts. Right? And then what I'm thinking is we could have the shoulders exposed. Those dots in there again.
I was thinking it would be like two-tone.
And then we could have
my comic's going to be kind of black and white, but I should think about the color
contours
schemes, you know,
throughout the design here.
And I imagine blue could, just because like Cortana was my starting point when I was thinking of this character.
I mean, there's a lot of different examples of like anime characters out there that are probably gonna beat the heck out of whatever I'm showing you here, but something like this could be an option. So something that's in fact fairly simple, sleek. I'm still not happy with that area around the belly, in fact, so I'm going to get rid of that for a moment. And maybe what we'll do is we'll take these contours here, simply lead them down into those areas around the pelvis.
Noticing where he's putting the navel. I thought I was putting my navel like too high at first, and I may have been.
So maybe something like that would work.
That's where it'll be. And I do want her to have.
Then you could start adding in other elements, like, for example, you could probably create a plate here around the hip, which I think you might even already have. Little extrusions for the design.
So he's going hip plate.
It really depends on, you know, how teched out and detailed you want to make the design. Keep in mind she's an assistant, so we might not need these plates. Maybe the simpler the better. So I might just take those out completely. Yeah, so this could work. Have that come down around her biceps. You can see how there's a unity to the design.
If I'm doing that, if I'm doing...
Of course, you'd have her
something
face here.
This.
And you know, you could mess around with the design of her hairdo and facial features and all that other good stuff. So check it out. Basically, what I'll do is I'll usually draw in the face, and then from that point define the outline once those facial features are drawn in, because I get a better idea for what shape I want to go for with the face and how far down the chin's going to come and all of that.
Can I just do this? Oh, there we go.
Okay, so let's take a look for a moment at the hairdo you've got for her. So I think the hairdo is good, but why don't we actually go ahead and we'll add some more of those nice curved lines into her fringe there.
There we go.
And I'm even thinking that maybe we give her more of like almost a bowl cut. She's an AI assistant, right? So maybe she looks like an attractive lady from HR.
Should I shorten her hair?
In fact, you could bring her fringe right down on top of her eyebrows. So now we've really got her moving into that curvaceous, softer contour theme that we've given the rest of her suit. And you could still have those additional area, like hair add-ons.
I've decided to get rid of the Sailor Moon
sprouting off of
things.
that, but again, make those
God
nice
damn,
and
can you see my
curved
trash
too.
now? There.
Once more, this is just a design I've come up with on the fly, so you don't have to go with it, but maybe it'll inspire you to sort of look for some alternative options and just see what you can come up with.
That's the idea there, Clay.
Okay, but otherwise, pretty good job on her as is. I love the poses that you've given her. I think they're great. And, you know, she got a real anime vibe going on there. So ultimately, it's up to you what direction you want to take the design, whether or not you want to push it further or experiment with some other options. But you never know what you'll be able to come up with. I'd say create a few different thumbnails, and who knows, maybe one of them will really be a winner. But good work overall, Will. Done some fabulous stuff here. And as I said, if you'd like to check out the previous critique I did on the work you submitted last week, you can access it in the feedback post that I made in the vault. Awesome stuff. Keep it up, my friend. Okay, next up we have Alexander.
Is this
That
the one where
she looks
he,
like a, you know how. I'm going to go ahead here, the basic manic. You don't actually want to make the speech bubbles part of the artwork.
He doesn't think I should make the speech bubbles part of the artwork. But the thought process there,
All right,
because
let's
I'm
move on.
writing the thing too, like I'm scripting it out,
So
is
we
how
have
much room do I have? What is,
this page.
because I have
This
the
page is
second
great. I
draft
actually
of
wouldn't
the
have changed everything
script.
about it.
You know, once
I
I fill the
love
word balloons,
this
that's
shot
like the final
here in the
cut
first
of
panel.
the script.
I like that it's long.
So
That
it made
runs
sense to
from the
me
top
where
of the
it's like,
page to the
okay,
bottom of the page. You got this big cloud just
make sure it's all
drawing
working
us
out.
in, and you can feel the speed behind it, right? You feel like it just shot through, and then we also have that emphasized in the next panel. I think there's some really great storytelling here. I love that. It's working exceptionally well, and
everyone
yes,
loves
you
my
should be
second
proud of this
page,
piece.
which is very encouraging.
That looks professional to me.
Yesterday,
I
I
can
told
see
a
it
coworker that I
actually
hate being
being presented
complimented.
within a comic book. I like it. Very impactful. Now, I
With
just
my
remembered
artwork,
you
I
wanted
did.
me to kind of talk about how you might
Especially from
redesign this
a fellow
character's
artist.
outfit.
You
And she
know,
does have a pretty good
feels good.
design going on already. Like, I can see what you're going for. Very simplistic sci-fi vibe. You know, you can make that work. Let's see here. Let's actually draw her out for a moment.
All right, then he goes in and he's doing that. All right, let's put myself back together. Oh, you know what? Before I do, though, in case, because I tagged him in this, you know, we got 19. Okay, they're in order now. They weren't in, there was something going on before.
Hey, how you doing? It's Clayton here from howtodrawcomics.net.
It was like the same episode twice for me.
This background, how to fill it out and really,
Oh, wait a minute.
you could really make the walls of this filling,
5. I feel like this is the previous one.
you know,
So
filling out the design of each asset
So
that
maybe
you
this is
decide
what I was
to add in.
it's like, okay, session 78. I'm at 16 minutes, 39
And
seconds.
we could add another one.
77. Or wait, no. There's 76 up here.
Forum on how to draw comics.
So then there was this.
In this case, it'd be Marvel. Could one thing you shows.
I don't think he goes over.
Get comic books. I mean,
Oh,
It's
wait.
pretty
Maybe
bad.
he does. Maybe I just didn't look
it
at
is
the
a
right
fun
spot.
exercise. I was getting a bit too creative. You're thinking what I'm going to do, what's going on
The spikes on
off, and
Or is he talking to a student right
He's-
now?
using with how rough.
is that we make. It's going to help you
Yeah, I don't think he looks
Actually,
at mine.
here recenter myself. Now,
'Cause
see,
here
and it's not
that's
supposed to
definitely
be
a student.
how to. It's leaning over there. The fundament help to describe it, and then you think it's working fine as
See how like the side of his face, where it's like kind of like there's a cheek indent, where it kind of looks like one side of his
I
face
need to
is
connect the dots
staged,
here and figure out if that's.
but there's no shadow on the other like main side that you're seeing, where like it's meant to be under the cheek. Like do you get what I'm
of your his position. They have a choice. Talent is figured out how to optimize his
Yeah.
students. It's
That's
terrible.
not it. And then this one, 76.
Yes, and some. You think he's. It's kind of like
Yeah, that's a different one.
add in
too.
some folds.
But I don't think I'm in this one either. Yeah. So I could have swore there was a feedback session that I just fell asleep, and that was the one where he was going to go over page 2, and I fell asleep before he did it. Anyway, maybe that never happened. Maybe that never happened, and that's why I pulled up page 2 and talked about it in the most recent one. Anyway, I got my feedback anyway. It's 30 minutes in. You know what? I think I should go with the shorter haircut here. And let's... merge that down. So if it's coming like that, then that means it's like that, basically. And I'd have like a piece of tech coming up over the ear now. She'd have kind of like a bob like that. And this would be like a piece of metal that comes down to draw attention to the earpiece. And that gives us a good shape overall for the head there. Is this her costume? I had been toying around with not giving her feet. With giving her just it's like peg legs. And I keep coming back to that. Now, we'll give her some basic feet. Maybe give her some, like, cute toes or whatever. Like little heels, maybe? Or no heels. No heels. No heels, and that way she can point them, you know? A little bit of that. That could be cute. Looks like she's got socks on or something. I don't like that thigh. Yeah, that's better. How big is the thing? What shape is it? Or should I dispose of it? Just let her have her hip. I think it already looks better. Should this line... That's how I have it over there. What if we cut it in half, her leg? No. If I have this come down like that. Too swimsuity, maybe? I think it's the outer thigh that's giving me trouble now. In case anybody comes. right. Oh, I got a viewer. Hey. Oh, wait, that was me. Ha! I literally got on my phone, turned on my stream, posted it to Facebook. Maybe my grandma can come watch me. Ugh. I keep going another like 30 minutes. Let's do it. So. So it's the outer thigh that was really getting me. Right? Alright, I think that's the answer to the quick egg and pancake break. Figure out this mic. Wanted to be pointed at my face. Anyway. So, if you remember, Corey had his shape sort of outlining that inner softness, right? And then coming down into the kneecap. What I'm going to do is have it go from the kneecap the other way, right? That way we can have a little bit there. Then what direction does it go? I want it to curve out. Lead up into here. Is that going to be the shape? Maybe instead of a navel, she'll just have a depression there, and then it'll go into like the... I'll reverse the dots there, you know, give her a little bit more of a gap, because then now that shape kind of frames the 3 dots in a way right there on her lower abdomen. Should that be like that, or more curved like that? Instead of the 3 dots, I could incorporate just another shape down here. And now that I'm not giving her a navel, I can play it off like this whole thing is spandex, like even up here. Forget all about the 3 dots, maybe. Should it be like a curved... like triangle shape here then? And then maybe give her a similar thing over here. I need to not like do this. Talk into the desk. I don't want her neck area to be too busy. Been watching DuckTales lately. Because children. And I don't want to watch the new cartoons. But even the old ones fall off after a bit. Like, freaking, as soon as Gizmo Duck comes into the picture, and he's just in every episode, and every freaking, like, is the whole season... Which season am I on? 3? 4? But, like, every episode is Gizmo Duck and his freaking, I mean, 2025 it'd be Meth Head, but freaking, Trailer Park Mom, who's just watching her shows and smoking her cigarettes. He's got Charlie Day's mom from Always Sunny. Gizmo Duck. But now it's for, like, freaking... This last episode I saw, he saved Launchpad and Scrooge, and... Anyway, it's like... I don't want the Gizmo Duck show, alright? I liked it when Scrooge figured stuff out. I don't like the constant damsel in distress plots where, you know, how is Gizmo Duck gonna fix his armor this time so that he can save people? Like, come off of it. We're done. Someday people are going to tune in for my takes on DuckTales. I should do a DuckTales review. I should make a channel of myself reviewing children's shows, you know? I'm starting to like it. I like what I've done with her hair now, where it's like in sections coming down. I'm going to have it be like a gap here, because it'll be that metal piece coming out and framing things. is gonna come up this way and should it just go right across? Since it's on the back, I almost feel like it should be like sort of an inverse of the front. Where it's not fully closed. Maybe that's where we can put like those three, because I did kind of like the 3 dots. Maybe those will serve some kind of purpose. She's a digital person now. What purpose could they serve? I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with something. I'll leave those there. They won't mean anything at first. And then they'll randomly become significant. Like that. Yeah, we're doing much better with this. I like her front antenna. Oh, I have an actual viewer. Say hello in the chat so I know who's here, unless it literally is my grandma. But even then, why not? Back down to 0 viewers. Art streams just aren't that popular. It is what it is. I'm gonna continue to do this because I love to draw and because I'm not AI. This would be a good way to prove that, you know. And because maybe some people who do appreciate this stuff and who would interact, you know, and talk to me, whatever, will show up. So who knows? Who knows? We're approaching an hour, though. That might be where I decide it's a healthy place to cut off. Like, unless I have more viewers. Like, if I had people, there was the one time where I had a few people watching me and I was drawing Homelander and stuff, and they stuck around and, like, you know, they were chatting with me. That was nice. Anyway. It's freaking noon on a Wednesday. So most people are probably at real jobs. Or doing something more interesting. Give her like soft tech toes in a way, and then nothing on the back. So let's go ahead and copy that layer. let's go back to page 5. And you know, it always feels when you gotta say goodbye to work, you know, that you've done. Because you put time in it. I put time in this. Okay. Let's do this. Here. Let's duplicate it, okay, so that we can trash it. Actually, let's do this. See the previous iteration, where she was literally just a, you know, I've tried several haircuts. She was just gonna be, you know, she looks too human in all of these, which I think is ultimately what was bothering me. But we're gonna redo this first panel here. Completely. So he had him animated digging. Let's go rewatch that real quick. Hope get the juices flowing again. Because sometimes you can feel deflated. Working on artwork.
Plotted it in. Get the perspective right here. Like, it'd be cool just to, because it's not immediately obvious that he's listening to a podcast. Unless you've got like some chatter coming out there. Now the other thing is he's enjoying his cereal. At least that's what you're telling us. But we can't necessarily tell it just from looking at the image. So what I'm going to say is, look, if I was going to redo this panel, it doesn't mean you have to redo it, but I'm going to try to give you some ideas here. I love the figures in his background. That's so cool.
Thank you.
I totally dig that.
I tried to come up with my own
Because we also want to make this
fake
look
franchises that he could be a fan of.
nice and cinematic, right? And dynamic. And the thing is, that top shot, it's great. And it kind of works. But at the same time, it's very similar to this one down here. You know, it's just a bit more zoomed in. So we want to mix things up a bit. What I'm thinking is, this guy is sort of watching a podcast episode of some kind. What we'll do is we'll put the, let's say, the laptop or the screen that he's watching it on in front of him. This is just a suggestion, by the way.
But he's thinking.
I'm not saying that this is the only solution. I'm not saying that it even needs to be a solution that's applied, really. Just going to sketch that in there real quick. You know what? Let me undo that. Because I want to get his face in there first. Okay, so he's eating his breakfast. He looks up at his assistant, who's distracting him from eating. Right? So we're going to have him actually, you know, with food in his face, and you know, maybe this hand has a spoon in it. So he's eating the food and he's enjoying it. So notice how messy I am with this. And I kind of want it so that he's looking up at her. Like he was focused. He was focused on what was happening in the podcast. Now he's looking up at his assistant. All right. And the podcast we'll put here. And we can place it on a little bit of an angle, the perspective. And we can do a nice, you know, a bit more of a close-up of the assistant here. Okay. And she's got her arms on her hips. Let's take a look. So she'd fit nicely there into the frame. And it does look like now he's being distracted. Do you see that acting? Okay, whereas in your initial panel, it's not necessarily evident that he's listening to a podcast, that he's being distracted by her.
And once again,
So there's
I
his
forgive him because there's 3
AirPods.
pages between the
Is
last
that what
page
they're
that we
called?
saw and
AirPods?
this one.
Now, of course, you would draw him out so that he's more realistic, like you've in your initial style. I'd say, raise his eyebrow a little bit to show that his attention has been caught by her. Now, we also have to show that he's actually eating cereal, right? So let's have that cereal in front of him there. And we'll also show that he's at a table eating the cereal. So we'll place that there. And we'll get that laptop thing drawn in. And it could be a screen of some kind. I don't know. This seems like it's set in the future, right? With the AI assistant. So maybe that is the case. But we get a glimpse at that tabletop showing that, oh, okay, things must be stationed on a table, including the AI. And there we have it. So now there's a little bit more storytelling going on. And then we'll get his hairdo placed in there a little bit more. Okay. Got his mouth there. I know it seems a little comedic, but, we want to emphasize it, right? We want to show the emotion here. We want to show the feeling of what's happening. He might not have that much food in his mouth, but just show that he's actually eating something. Like if he's enjoying his cereal, show that he's enjoying it. And show that his attention has just been caught and that he's being distracted from his morning routine. So he's like shoveling it in his mouth. We'll have him leaning in as well to the laptop to show that he was really focused on it. And hey, you got these awesome background elements. We could still put the window in there in the backdrop. Okay, so you could still get that in there, have some curtains. Always be thinking about little nuanced and interesting elements that you can add in to your scenes. And then we got the shelves here with the figures in the background. You could certainly add those in. Have one here and another one over here. Then you got the character. Okay, the AI assistant. All right, so take a look at this scene. It feels a little bit more alive. It doesn't just feel like there's a mannequin standing at that sitting at that table. It feels like a real person, and what you wanted to have come across is now coming across a little bit clearer. All right, cool. So I know that the one I've drawn looks like a kid. Obviously, draw yours into a man, if that's what you're going for.
Yep, going
So that's
for
panel number 1.
a grown
Panel
child.
number 2 is pretty good, but it's
Future, we
it's
have a
like,
bunch of
what do you want to have come across there, right? What
grown
is the
children.
emotional feeling of that particular shot, right? Well, seems like she wants his attention, so she must be telling him something. So maybe this could be more like a side shot, so we could really mix it up. Right, so we'll make it a long panel, just like you've got there. And I know this layout I'm laying down here is a little different. I'm only placing that panel down here because I don't have enough room on the other side. So in this panel, he might be sort of looking up at her as she's looking down at him. And in fact, why don't we go ahead here and actually make it so that there's room for the rest of her body. All right, so there we go. Of course, we want to give her a little bit more expression. So we'll go ahead and do that. Still got her hands on her hips.
I like that.
So I'd love to know, like, why she's distracting him. Like, has he forgotten to do something? Like, we could have her pointing at his nose. Like, hey, did you remember to do that thing? Still got his mouth full of stuff, full of food. Eyes are like surprised now. And he's still got his spoonful of food. Maybe that's like dropping out the the spoon as he actually is distracted by her. Right, so that could be the bowl of food there.
See, now suddenly it's terrible.
All right, so it's a bit more of a close-up shot. And if you wanted some space for the speech bubbles, of course, you can totally do that by simply lowering this here. All right, so now we've got a bit more of an introduction into where they're established in comparison to one another, like what space they occupy in the room. Okay. And then this is a good shot, except now it's similar to this shot. So I think what we could do is, in fact, make it a close-up shot of this lovely lady.
I got the angle of the hand
Lovely
wrong.
AI
That's where I'm
lady,
going
so-
wrong.
I'll build out another panel here. And
The hand
then,
ought to be there.
hey, why don't we change the perspective up here a little bit? Why don't we actually
Elbow there.
place the camera below her? Like, I don't know if she's angry at him or just trying to distract him or whatever. She looks pretty annoyed in this panel, so guessing she's a little angry. Now I'm just drawing like little eggheads for them. But, you know, from that you can build out a pretty complex face, believe it or not. I should do a class on that. Like, just capturing the emotion here, you'd be surprised how much information is stored. So, like, we could totally build off of this. Like, I could go in there, define the lips, you know, adjust the height of the jaw if needed, and we could actually sculpt that like we're working with a ball of clay into a finished illustration of a character. Believe it or not.
Well, that's starting. I like it now.
Okay, so I'll do that real fast just to show you.
That doesn't look unnatural. Like, whenever I'm doing, like, I find, like, whenever
Jaw
I'm,
there.
like,
And
uncomfortable
once that's done,
with, it's usually because there's something awkward about the pose. So now let's paste
we can
that layer in.
draw out the rest of her body. have her arms going back, resting on her hips. I know I'm being very scribbly with it. Hopefully you can tell what's going on and what I'm going for there. All right, let's do that again. So we bring back her body to there, have her hips here, her legs would be coming down there. All right. And then we draw in her hair, of course. As you can see there, you can really just adjust the shape of the face, and it really starts to come together from that point onward. All right. And if you thought you could fit it in there, you could place a big close-up of his face. And I know then we're actually getting toward this panel here, but what I'm really trying to show you is just that you can add a lot more emotional impact to these panels in order to really get them to emotionally engage with the audience. Okay, like I'll stop there. I won't actually go through every single panel here, but I just wanted to show you that there's different options there to enhance the impact, the feeling of what's going on in each panel. Because you can see how every one of these panels actually hit harder, and they're telling the story in a bit more of a comprehensive, expansive way. So I hope that helps. I really do. But the other thing that I'm going to mention is just with these speech bubbles.
This scene.
Don't worry about putting those in yet. Illustrate your pages and put them in
the audience
at the end
in basically
on a different
2
layer,
pages,
because they're not actually
how
that
his
important.
whole
If you've got the script there with your dialogue, awesome.
system works,
Make sure that
essentially.
you're leaving room for the speech bubbles. So one thing that I'll do in the early drafts of my comic book pages is, she's talking in this one. What I'll do is I'll actually go ahead and I'll draw out the speech bubble and where it's going to go. Sometimes I'll put in a little bit of an idea for what the character is going to say. Right, so she's saying some more stuff there. And then he's here saying his thing. So I'll scribble down some speech bubbles like that, just so that I know roughly where to leave space. But then once that's done, I'll ignore those and I will just draw out the rest of the image. And the dialogue, okay, the lettering comes later, like at the end of the comic book creation process, really. So you'll draw out all the pages. You would have established where roughly the speech bubbles are going to go in the early drafting. You'll have just the artwork present, and then finally you'll create another layer. You can either letter it yourself or work with the letterer, and they'll place those speech bubbles along with the dialogue over the top of the artwork on a separate layer, so that then you can move it around. In other words, you don't actually want to make the speech bubbles part of the artwork. That makes sense.
I hear you, Clay.
All right, let's move on here. So
I will consider it.
we have this page.
Was
This page is
unsatisfied
great.
with previous
I actually wouldn't change
attempts at
anything
speech
about
bubbles,
it.
so
I love
practicing
this
like
shot
speech bubbles.
here
I wanted
in
to
the
get an
first
idea of
panel.
what the
I like that
finished
it's long, that it
page
runs
was
from the
gonna look like.
top of the page to the bottom of the page. You got this big cloud just drawing us in, and you can feel the speed.
All right. Thanks a ton, Clay. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for the guidance. I appreciate it. Anyway. Let's see. It's just roughing. And I'm adding in these like front-facing bunny ears. I think they could be like animated more. So we could have those going up, down, whatever. Give her one. Here, who the fuck is messaging me? Okay. Sorry. Sorry to the 0 people viewing, but got a text.
But next time I make bread, you should try it, okay?
Alright, I can't give her that side bang. This thing comes here and then down, right? But from the side, it comes down like that. So I have to let go of this idea that you're gonna see the earpiece unless her head is like moving, you know. Is that basically what I've created here? There's going to need to be some fine tuning to the hair, obviously, but I think alright, I think that flows nicely, you know? And if our bunny ears are going to go straight up down here, so they can be more like relaxed up here. Ooh. And that'll be fun. That'll be fun. Tuning into the Will Studios, any future people, and the one person stopped in for like 20 seconds.